If you've ever really struggled around the greens and you've got a paralyzing fear of hitting those short shots, well, there's a good chance you've got too much tension in your setup and it's really causing some limitations to your ability to get the job done. If you feel like this is you, stay tuned. I've got some great tips that are really going to help. Let's get into it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Kerrod here, back at the beautiful Joondalup Resort, and in this video we're going to be talking all about reducing the likelihood of getting those yips. Now, before we get stuck in, as always, please go down below, click subscribe, click that little bell so you get notified of all the great content coming your way. Alrighty, so let's talk about one of the main contributors to hitting those shots around the green where players really struggle. And a lot of the time, from my experience, is when we see way too much tension up through this lead arm and in the wrists. Now, this causes a few issues. Number one is it causes the arms to move too much around the body rather than staying in front. Now, that's quite a complex sort of motion initially to try and feel, but I'm going to give you some great exercises to try and implement this. So if you are struggling with these shots and you find that you're duffing and thinning and everything in between, you've got a better chance of executing these shots. So let me show you what I generally see with a player who really struggles with these short shots. We would tend to see too much of a rigidness in this lead arm, too much tension in this wrist, and then as they pull the golf club away, very little motion of the body in the backswing, so no real pivot, but then they actually pivot too hard coming in. So the club has no control over where it's going to bottom out and strike the ground in the golf ball. It very much so looks like this. A jolting motion after impact, the club comes in too high, generally resulting in thin shots. Now, the more you do this, it only builds more anxiety about hitting these soft shots around the green. And effectively what we need to do is we need to soften things up a lot so you can get yourself using the weight of the club head a lot better rather than trying to push and move the handle around. From the down the line view, it looks like this. We're going to set up too much tension in the lead arm, too much tension in the wrists. We're going to have no turn on the way back, too much turn on the way through. You'll notice a dipping of your body, an opening of the legs, and that really causes some misstruck shots. Okay, so what's the drill? What's the exercise that we need to start to impart to give yourself a better chance of executing these shots? Well, it's as simple as number one, making some adjustments to your setup. From the address position here, I want you to relax your shoulders. You're going to do that by holding the golf club out in front of you towards the midline of your body. From here, pump your arms towards you so they're very relaxed. We want the shoulders feeling in a soft state, not hard, not rigid, definitely not tense. From here, when we get down to the golf ball, I always want you to have these slight little motions before you hit the golf shot of feeling like you're pumping the arms towards you. This is just going to encourage you to loosen up in the address position and as you take the golf club away. Now, this is going to take a little bit of practice, but the first move is also very important. We don't want to stiffen up and then pull the golf club away because we're going to go back to square one. When we actually take the golf club away for these little shots, we want to still feel that relaxed state. So my elbows would be bent, my wrists would be soft, and then I'm going to keep that soft as I swing back and through. From the down the line view, it's very much going to look like this. Pumping those arms towards you, soft in the backswing, soft in the follow through. The arms are never really getting tense. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have an insight into the mechanics of what happens with the arms throughout the motion relative to what we see with the players who struggle. So the easiest way to look at this is by segmenting these pieces together. From the address position, what we would tend to see with the player who struggles is the arms would move around their body. So if I stand up in front of the camera, you can see the arms have pulled across my chest. Now, when this happens, they have to get back in front at some stage. And most players do this by trying to move their body, but no control once again over the bottom of the swing. What would we like to see is actually the opposite. The arms need to fold up. As we get the arms folding up, and then I stand in front of the camera, if I was to get some turn now to my body, even though it feels like my arms are moving straight up, as I then control that pivot, turn, now the club's in a really great position to then actually just fall directly underneath me onto the ball. And you can see it kind of pops up nicely into that position. From the down the line view, it looks like this. We're going to set up, soften the arms, get the arms hinging up, pivot, and let the club fall. When you do that, you've got a lot of room for this club to fall underneath your body, the club head to pass the handle, and then the face to stay open in the follow through. This would be very different from those players who are stiff and rigid at address, pull the arms around the body with no turn, and then try and get the club back on the ball by then violently twisting into the ball. So as you can see, the key difference here that we're looking for, from the address, we're going to be soft. In the backswing, we're going to get the feeling like the arms are actually folding up rather than moving around. And then once we're in this backswing position, we've got all this room to then let the club just fall down to the ground. So when you're working on this, this is the little exercise. Address the ball, fold the arms up, pivot the body, let the club fall. The club will glide underneath the ball. Let's do one more. Soft arms, soft chest at address, hinge the club up, little bit of wrist, little bit of elbows, pivot the body back, club's in a great position, let the club fall. Club drops underneath the ball. Now, if I turn back to the camera, you can also see once again, my hands are back in front of my chest. So even though this is quite complex to try and think about as a whole, if you break it down, this pitching motion is the arms going up and down as you turn your body. The combination of that will help you get that golf club returning a lot more consistently and in more of a predictable manner back to the ball. So if you've got the yips around the greens and you're really struggling with any sort of contact, my number one go-to exercise, relaxed in the address position, hinge up from the wrists and the elbows, pivot the body, and just get the sensation of letting that club fall back down to the ball. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. As always, please go down below, click subscribe, click that little bell. But until next time, I'm Kerrod. Thanks for watching.